this is part 2. Having to get cut off there. But as I was saying, it's nice to know that someone actually enjoys to see some of the everyday simplicities that go on in my everyday life. This is mom life, wife life, everyday woman life, everyday life, I guess. So not only does the brush work good for the lighter areas, but as you see, it also works good for the tougher areas as well. So I'm almost done here. Just got one more area to do. Time for me to make just a little bit more of our concoction. Alright, so got some more made. Here we go, and just put on all the other areas that are needed, and just let this sit on here for about, I'll say about, you could try it out in about 20 minutes and see how it works for you. For some of the harder areas that are pretty nasty, you know, you may leave it on for a little bit longer than that. I guess it's pretty much you try it out and see how much time you actually need for how much gunk you actually have. Or I guess another way of thinking about it is the extreme of that in which you're working with. So you can have an area that maybe you only had some spills from making soup, you know, or in other areas where you may have been working with oil and your mess is a whole lot more. Or you could have perhaps been teaching some of the youngins how to make some whipped cream, or, you know, good stuff, icing, stuff that you use for whenever you're making good stuff with, and you're using milk, because that's something right there that overflows. And yeah, so this right here is a mixture of milk, I'm pretty sure, and oil. But you know, you gotta do what you gotta do, especially when you're teaching other people how to cook. It's always good to spread the love. So it's always good to show you how to clean it up as well. So I'm gonna let that sit. I'm going to add some time onto my clock. It's good for cleaning all of this good stuff. I'm going to add about 20 minutes to my clock, and I'll be back. Okay, just to show you, it doesn't really have to be necessarily 20 minutes completely, because it's only been 19 minutes, and check it out. It's already starting to come. Now, I'm just using just a regular spatula. You can probably just use a sponge for areas that aren't so bad, but you can see how that's just removing everything. It's just coming right off. And those are for nice little loose areas. Even the areas that are a little tough. And you could just smooth it right back over, and look, that's just rubbing it on that area, and it's kind of like just scrubbing it clean all on its own. That's pretty cool. I wish that I knew about this when I was a teenager and we had to do a whole bunch of cleaning. Look at that. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. This is a really hard area where a lot of the really nasty stuff got caked up on. And check that out. And keep in mind, folks, you don't have to be dirty for you to have stuff to build up, food or debris to build up on your stovetop. It doesn't even have to, you don't have to be dirty. It's just part of cooking. Ask most cooks, chefs alike, moms, grandmoms, dads, anybody that cooks. It's just part of what happens. When you do a lot of cooking, it just happens. And look at that, it's just rubbing off. You see that? That's what's pretty cool about this. This is that, you see, I don't like to scrub. If I could pay somebody without paying somebody, I would not clean if I didn't have to. But unfortunately, it's a way of life and it's something that you have to do. But check that out. If that's not a cleaning hack, I don't know what is. I'm going to get a sponge so that I can really wipe that off so you can see exactly how that works. Now that's only been 17 minutes on the clock. Wait till I get all of this stuff up and off of the stove top. This is going to be pretty sweet. Okay, so I didn't find a sponge, but a rag works just as fine. This is just for the area that I just worked on. Now, if you have sensitive skin, I would probably suggest that you would use gloves. But this is just the areas just now that I just wiped that up off of. Can you believe that? And that right there is in the corner. And all I had to do was just wipe that off. You see that? It's just coming right up. Just put some more over top of it and just use it to scrub it off. It's like scrubbing, but not scrubbing. That is my type of cleaning. It's just removing itself right before your eyes. That's awesome. Yeah. For everybody out there that's not really into doing a lot of scrubbing, problem solved. That's the type of cleaning I like to do. Look at that. And see, that was an area that was almost as nasty. And look, here's an area where it's a little gross. And I'm not scraping just yet, but that's just from just wiping it. And that's like 15 minutes on the clock. That's pretty cool. I'm just going to put this right back over top of it. And watch. Just recycling that was reused, that's used already. It's still going to work. This is one of the best things that I have learned, that I have found out. You know, it's pretty cool. So, it's also pretty cool to know that you don't have to use a whole bunch of super hard elbow grease just to get a bunch of cleaning done. And some people will say, oh, well, how about you just clean it when it happens, and then you won't have to worry about having a build-up. Well, hello, world. This is not a perfect world, nor do we have perfect people. And sometimes you have busy families with busy lives, and people are doing things, and sometimes you cook on the go. Sometimes you're just busy doing so many other things and you don't have time to do everything. Or what about the times when you actually have somebody that is cooking and they did a nice job cooking and you're so happy and appreciative, but you come down the next day and guess what? The kitchen is a disaster. But you know, no one really knows exactly what we do in the kitchen but those of us that actually run our kitchens. So I guess, you know, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and it's just one of those things that you just gotta smile and respect it and move on. There's too much stuff happening in the world for everybody to want to beat everybody up and break everybody down. But that's just me, where I am in my life at this moment. But how about that? Enough of me babbling and going on a tangent. But I think that this right here looks pretty darn good from where it started. And this was the side that was probably the second worst. Yeah, pretty good. Next, tackling this side. Not so bad, halfway through. And it's only 12 minutes on the clock. Okay, so I have 8 minutes left on the clock. And as you see, this stuff is just coming right off. It's pretty cool. Now I put time on the clock, and as you see, I've got stuff that's just coming right off. See how easy I was able to just get that up off with my nail. All of the extra paste that I have, you can reuse all of that stuff, man. It's like gold. And then for just little areas like that, all you do is just scrub.